Hello, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Sabine and I'm the mother of an 8-month-old baby. When he was between 5 and 6 months old, we took him on a long-haul flight from Australia to Europe. So today I would like to share with you my tips and the things that I have learned along the way, and hopefully this will make your journey a lot easier. So if you're interested, then please keep watching. My tip number 1 is being prepared. Research the different airlines and their regulations for flying with babies and infants. During my research, I have found that different airlines have got different sized bassinets. As my baby is quite big, my main concern was finding an airline that would have a bassinet that would still allow my baby to sleep in when he hit 6 months. So we actually ended up booking with Singapore Airlines, as their weight limit is currently 14 kilos, which is a whole 4 kilos heavier than some of the other airlines. And that worked out well for us. When you're flying with a baby, you also want to consider the time of day you're flying. You probably don't want to book a 6 a.m. flight, which might mean leaving the house at 2 o'clock in the morning. This sounds pretty obvious, but if you are traveling internationally, make sure you've got a passport for your baby. The number one reason why babies are crying on planes is because they're in pain. And they're usually in pain because of an earache. So I would recommend seeing your local GP and discussing any concerns you might have. The GP can then also check out your baby's ears and make sure that there is no current infection or that the baby hasn't got a cold. You can then also discuss what medication you should take onto the plane just in case. Make sure you research the different security rules and regulations for your country and all the countries that you're going to be visiting, as they might be different. Make sure you pack your bags well in advance. You do not want to be packing on the day that you're leaving, because traveling with a baby is stressful enough as it is, and you need to be as calm as possible. Consider what stroller you want to take along. I know some people are buying a specific lightweight travel stroller that they take along. In our case, we just purchased a stroller bag and actually took along our just normal everyday stroller, and that worked out well for us. Even if you have booked your ticket and you have booked your bassinet and you've got your seats, I would still recommend ringing the airline a couple of days before takeoff, just to reconfirm that you have still got the seats and you have still got your bassinet, just in case. You also need to consider how you will get to the airport. If you need a taxi, you need to make sure to book well in advance, because you'll probably need a van to fit all your things, and you will need a car seat for the baby. My next tip is what actually to pack for your carry-on. And something I have learned along the way is that less is actually more. On my way there, I think I heavily overpacked, and I had one backpack as well as a carry-on suitcase. I had done a ton of research and I thought I needed to have a gazillion nappies and spare outfits and food and toys. And I ended up having so many things, and my bags were so full that when we were on the plane, I actually couldn't find anything, and a lot of the items were never unpacked and were never used because we couldn't find them. So it totally defeated the purpose. So on the way back, I learned from my mistakes and I packed a lot less, a lot smarter. So here are the items that I packed on the way back. I chose one big backpack, which allowed me to be hands-free, and I had a baby carrier so I could strap my baby in the front and I would still be hands-free to handle things like passports. All up, I took 15 nappies and I divided them into 2 Ziploc bags. In each Ziploc bag, I also had a small pack of wipes, 2 disposable change mats, and a couple of nappy bags. I would have one of those grab-and-go packs ready in front of my seat with me, and the other grab-and-go bag would be in my backpack for the second journey. Now, 15 nappies doesn't sound like a lot for a 30-hour trip, but just be aware that the airline also has some emergency nappies for you, and that most likely you will find a pharmacy in every airport. On the way there, I had packed 30 nappies, and I actually used 7, so that puts things into perspective. Furthermore, I packed 3 spare outfits for my baby, and I kept it really simple and easy with single suits. Also make sure to pack at least one outfit for yourself, because if baby gets in trouble, then you're probably in trouble as well. I also had one big muslin cloth and one blanket. If your baby uses pacifiers or dummies, I packed about 6 so that I could replace them if they would fall on the floor, but also make sure you pack some dummy chains, and then you can clip the dummies to yourself or onto the baby or even onto the bassinet. And the dummy chain can also be used to clip toys onto the bassinet, which I thought was really clever. Take about 5 small toys, and if your baby is already eating solids, then take a few food pouches, spoons and bibs. The airline will most likely provide you with some food for the baby, but the food might not be age appropriate, and you definitely don't want to try out any new foods while you're up in the air. In our case, the airline provided us with food and bibs, but they didn't have any plastic spoons, so I was very grateful that I had some plastic spoons with me. After consulting my doctor, I packed a Ziploc bag with medication, and I had baby ibuprofen and baby paracetamol in case of fever and in case of pain. Then I had teething gel in case my baby would start teething, which he hadn't at that time. And also saline nasal spray, which can keep everything clear and can help prevent ear pain. I would highly recommend though that you speak to your own doctor about medication. And lastly, if you are breastfeeding, then chances are you are thirstier and hungrier than everybody else on this plane. So make sure you grab yourself a refillable water bottle that the flight attendant can refill for you, and also grab a few extra snacks. When you get to the airport, I would recommend that you check in a little bit earlier than usually and speak to the check-in staff about gate checking your stroller. What this means is that you can hold on to your stroller the entire time that you're in the airport, which is useful anytime, but it is particularly useful if there's any delays. And only when you're boarding is when you are handing in your stroller, and then the staff will put it in a special area in the airplane, which is quite reassuring because there's probably less chance of it getting damaged with all the other luggage. Make sure you do your own research in regards to security regulations in your country and the countries you're traveling to. In my case, we were traveling from Australia to Singapore to Europe, and I could actually take water and baby food in pretty much unlimited quantities as long as they were for the baby. Also be aware that the security staff are going to want to x-ray your stroller and or carrier, and the baby will have to come out for that, so just be prepared. When it is time to board, fold up your stroller and get your stroller bag ready, and at this point you might want to pop the baby into your carrier or just carry the baby in your arms. As you get onto the plane, get all your essentials ready. You won't be able to keep your backpack or your carry-on bag in front of you. It will have to go into the overhead locker. So I would recommend getting your nappies and maybe some toys and a dummy ready, and just put it into the slip pocket in front of you. If your baby is taking a dummy or pacifier, then take a dummy chain and clip one onto the baby and a second one onto yourself. That way you've always got a backup dummy and you don't have to go searching through bags in the middle of turbulences. During takeoff, it is recommended to nurse your baby to prevent ear aches. So you can either breastfeed or give a bottle of milk, or you can also just give the baby a pacifier or a toy to chew on. If your baby is fast asleep, then don't worry, it will probably be fine. In my experience, you have to wait until you're up in the air and the seatbelt lights are off until you get your bassinet, and that's when you can place the baby into the bassinet. I actually found it easy enough to change my baby on the change table in the bathrooms, but there is not a lot of space, so I would recommend that you only take the necessities with you. So a nappy, a pack of wipes, a nappy bag and one disposable change mat. My baby was wriggling a lot, so my biggest challenge was actually making sure that he didn't bump his head on the walls. So I took the pack of wipes and I placed it between my baby's head and the walls, and that way he had a bit of a pillow there, so that worked out well. When it is time to eat, have a look at what the airline is providing. If the food is suitable, that's great, use that, and if it isn't suitable, then use your own backup food. Definitely put a bib on your baby, and I also put a big muslin cloth over the baby and over myself, and this was really just to preserve our clothes because we didn't have that many. If you're flying during the day, I would highly recommend getting a fly baby. Now, I did a review of this in my newborn essentials, so I will link the video down below and you can go and check it out. But in essence, it is a little tent that is made out of a black breathable material, and you can clip it on top of the bassinet so it will cut out any light and cold air from the air conditioning, and to a certain degree also noises. So that will really help the baby sleep. During our night flight, we didn't bother, to be honest, because the cabin was dark anyway and the airplane is generating a lot of white noise, so our baby slept very well. But during the day flight, it was worth gold, so highly recommend. And don't forget that if you need help at any point in time, just ask a flight attendant or some of the other passengers. I found that everybody was so helpful and friendly, so just ask. My doctor was telling me that landing is even worse for the baby's ears than takeoff, so definitely try to nurse your baby when landing. Once you have landed, let all the other passengers disembark before you, so then you can take your time gathering all your belongings and getting baby ready. Again, if you need help, just ask the stewardess to hold the baby for you for a moment. If you have gate checked your stroller, then the stroller will be waiting for you as you're coming off the plane. So these were all of my tips. I really hope you have found this useful. I would love to hear your tips and also how old your baby is and where you have traveled. So please leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more videos like this, then hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!